So, hello, I am Steve. I'm from the Between Two Beers podcast, and this is Suze.
And I'm from Newsroom and many other places.
Not Radio New Zealand,
Not
right?
Radio New
That's an
Zealand.
inside joke. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. The purpose of this webinar is to tell you a bit about myself, Suze, and our new business Reflections, to show you what's involved in what we call the Reflections experience and how your loved one's stories can live on for generations.
So it'd be really cool if you wanted to use the chat box to let us know where you are joining us from, where you heard about Reflections, and please feel free to drop questions in that we will answer in a Q&A soon.
Yeah, cool. We've got the first one in from Deanna Hind in Tauranga. Great to have you on board, Deanna. Yeah, fire through any questions. We're kind of going to run through a little bit of a talk about how we got here, but we'll be monitoring that throughout the evening. So, a little bit about me. So, I started the Between Two Beers podcast with my best friend Seamus about 5.5 years ago. And episode 35 was with my dad, Bruce Holloway. We'd run out of guests that week and thought, yeah, he'll do. And we had 90 minutes with him. And after he left, we were recording in my garage in Hamilton at the time. I remembered saying to Shay, I think that will one day be one of my most valuable possessions, or might one day be my most valuable possessions.
Wow.
Because in that conversation, we asked him questions about his life that there's no other scenario allows you to. I think I asked him, did you fulfill your potential as a journalist, and what would you do differently about the way you raised us, and like really sort of meaty questions. Do you have regrets on life? What do you wish you'd done differently? Questions that you just don't really have any other time or space for. And it planted a seed that is now turned into this Reflections business. So as the podcast grew and became our full-time jobs, on the side, Seamus and I started going up and down the country, capturing people's stories. It was kind of fine-tuning the process, and we did about 12 across the space of the year, and each time it got a little bit better, and we refined our process to a point where now we're super comfortable and we think we've nailed it. So just one quick story about the interviews. One of them was with a gentleman who had terminal motor neuron disease, and this stands out to me as one of the saddest but also most fulfilling interviews that I've ever done. I turned up to his house and unpacked his life story for 2 hours. And we sat there at the end weeping. And I remember thinking, wow, like what an incredible use of my skill set and storytelling, and how valuable that's going to be for family. And then I got a message after he passed from his family saying they'd listened to it, and what a incredible treasure it was for their family. So there was heaps of little instances of real fulfillment through the path. But it got to the point where we realized we had something, but the bottleneck was Seamus and I. We've got the podcast, we've got these things going on. How do we scale this out? How do we help capture more stories up and down New Zealand? And so that's where Suze comes in. For those who don't know Suze, I'm going to blow a little bit of smoke up your ass, Suze. She, in my opinion, is the best in New Zealand in this space, and I'll talk a little bit about what makes up that skill set later. But we brought Suze on board as our first hire, and she's our lead interviewer. And I'll pass over to Suze now. You can talk a little bit about how you came on board and what you found of it.
I just want to first of all say thank you again. I'm still so thrilled that you rang and asked me if I was interested in doing this, because it just fitted in so well with who I am and what I want to do. So I've been I've just been a journalist. I've been a writer and a journalist for coming up 4 decades. That's how Steve and I know each other. We have common sports journalism backgrounds. And I have always lived by the mantra that the human story is the best story, no matter what you're writing about or what field you're in. And I just love telling people stories. And I always wanted to do this, but I thought the only way that you could do it was through writing a book about someone. And this had never occurred to me to do it, as a podcast or a video. And man, I now know this is the way to go. This is the way to do it.
So Suze's first job was quite a memorable one. She went down to Christchurch and recorded the life story of an incredible man. And I knew that we were onto a winner because it was Suze, but also the feedback afterwards. What do you remember about that first job?
Yeah, it was a beautiful way to start actually, and it was with a wonderful gentleman called Stuart Miller, who was in his early 90s, and he was, unwell, and his family, in particular his daughter Lyndall, really wanted to capture his incredible story before he left them. And he was a Canterbury farmer. He was one of the top rugby referees of his time. He achieved a lot through local body politics. And I think we were equally nervous. I'd never done one before. He was naturally nervous about sitting down and talking about himself. But it became a really beautiful, um, a really beautiful moment, really.
Yeah, and Lindell has become one of our biggest cheerleaders. You'll see her testimonial on the website. A perfect sort of encapsulation of what this package is.
Yeah, and the special thing too, I just want to say is that Stuart passed away last week, and Lyndall has told us that she will be playing the highlights reel from our Reflections interview at his funeral next week. So that's really special.
Yeah, it is. So to address the problem, right? Like you start a new business, it's like, what is the problem that you're trying to solve? And I'm encouraged because this is a really obvious one. So unless a family really has its act together, it's only the stories of the famous that endlessly stay around, like we're doing with the Between Two Beers podcast. But stories that should have been passed down, tales of love, struggle, and joy, they dissolve into vague recollections, or worse, disappear completely.
Yeah, questions like, what was Granddad like as a father? Or why was Nana kicked out of the Country Women's Institute?
These are very specific ones, Suze.
Nobody's actually really asked those yet. But there are questions that some families have found it difficult to ask of their parents or relations. But the magic of life is in the detail, the personality and the stories, and too often it's lost, eh?
When we asked around, Kiwi families told us they were struggling with three specific problems, right, Suze?
Yeah, so one, when our parents pass, the rich stories of their lives fade, leaving gaps in our family understanding that can never be filled. The second was trying to get heartfelt, honest stories out of your parents can be like trying to give a cat a bath.
It's my not Suze's line, but she delivered it
No,
well.
I really, that's one of my favourite ones from Steve. But they also want their kids to know their roots, but are unsure how to make that happen. And, time won't wait. So do any of those sound familiar? Are those questions that you would like to have answered? We believe the past should be a gift, not a mystery. And with modern capabilities like this, allowing our family histories to fade into silence is a tragedy we no longer can accept.
So the question I imagine you're here for is, how do we fix the problems, and what does it actually look like? So we created Reflections, which is a private family documentary service. Our team of experts like Suzanne and Mark Stafford come to your home and record an engaging 2-hour conversation with your parents or grandparents or anyone. We don't wing it though, and follow a thorough 3-step process to deliver something a bit damn special. We call it the Reflections Experience, aka the most memorable experience of your life.
Oh, another good one.
Do you like that one?
Another good one.
Yeah. You love my words, don't you?
I do.
Okay, so it's 3 steps. So it's research, it's record, and remember. And I just want to run you through the research process. So first of all, we include the family in this. So we will reach out to you and we'll send you a questionnaire or a link to forward to anyone you want involved in this. And we ask for 3 things. 1, what questions would they like asked of the featured family member? 2, are there any stories that we should get this person to tell when we're interviewing them? And 3, and this is really special, are there any words that you would like us, our interviewer, to read to them about the way they've impacted or influenced their life. And that can be really special. I'll talk a little bit about that later. So we get that from the wider family. And then our interviewer receives these files and it has that info. And then we organize a 60-minute call with you or whoever's organizing the interview. Now, ahead of this call, we'll ask for 10 focus areas. So then 10 parts of their life that you're most interested in hearing about. So that might be their relationship with mum and dad, their childhood, the schools they went to, some adversity they had, the business that went under, or the business that made millions, or family reflections, or that trip to Hawaii. Whatever it is that you're most interested in hearing about, we get you to list it, and we get you to rank it 1 through 10, so we get an idea of what it is that you really want us to dig in on. So once we get that, and we get that information from the wider family, we arrange our interviewer, whoever's going to do the recording, organizes a call with you. And this is the most special, well, there's lots of special parts of that, but this is a really special part. So we invite you, and often with your siblings or other people that are close to the project, and we have a 60-minute call where we flesh out these 10 themes or these 10 focus areas. So we extract as much information as we can in this call, so that when our interviewer is doing the recording, if your old dad tries to shut down a question or moves off or deflects or directs, we know what you're trying to capture and we'll go back to it. So it's really, we put so much thought into the structure and the prep so that you get exactly what you want. So after we've done the call with you and we've got the info from your family, if you want them involved, our interviewer will put a structure together for the 2-hour chat. So that might look like 15 minutes at the start on childhood, and then 10 minutes on high school, and then 20 minutes on how he met his wife in marriage, and then reflections on family at the end. And we'll give you a real clear gauge of how long we plan on spending in each section. And then we'll check it with you. So before we interview, we'll send you that file and say, this is the plan. And you might say, actually, more like 30 minutes on childhood. I really want mum and dad. Or actually, that trip to Hawaii needs to be 15 minutes. Like, so much stuff went on there. So before we sit down, you'll have a real clear picture of what we're trying to capture. And so that is the research process which gets the gold. And it's born out of, I mean, Seamus and I have done over 220 long form interviews, and it's a real art. There's a real art to navigating through the chapters. I think the hardest thing when you are talking with the elderly is if you're not skilled at moving the conversation along, you might get 45 minutes about the time they went up the road and got a bottle of milk. I don't know, it's a bad example, but you get the point. Yeah, so that is the research piece.
Yeah. One other thing in that research, when you send those questions out to people, it can also be their colleagues or people that they spent a lot of time with, their friends. You know, it doesn't just have to be family memories. It's really lovely to get an even broader picture of their lives before you go and talk to them. So that next part is recording, and it's a really special day, isn't it? And it's not just about that time that you're sitting down and you've got the on button on the recorder or on the camera. I try and get there, half an hour early and start setting up, but then have time to sit down with the person and just break the ice, talk about the weather, talk about the traffic, go through family photographs, looking through albums and just making them feel comfortable, because they do feel nervous. It's just a natural thing to happen. And so that breaking the ice is really important. Then we sit down and we record. It doesn't all have to be done in one sitting. We can stop and have breaks. But at the end, I always take scones. So then we sit down with a cup of tea and scones, and we talk about, what we've just been through. And that's really lovely. They're so much more relaxed, and they're grateful and they're happy that they did it. I haven't found anybody who's said, "Oh, wish I hadn't done that."
So, like I said at the start, there's a skill set involved here, and it's really particular. We are essentially turning up at a stranger's house and asking them to share their life story with us. Yeah. So it's as much about making them feel comfortable when we arrive. just being a very warm and normal person, which is why the team we've assembled together is so perfect at it. It's the safety that we offer and give them. Like, we will let them know that nothing goes out that they don't want. So if they say something in the interview that they don't want anyone listening to, we'll edit it out before it goes to anyone, you know? So letting them know that they are in total control of the process is important too.
Yeah, yeah. So then the last step is remembering. And so we edit a beautiful audio and video package for your family that you can listen to, laugh over, and love forever.
So what are the benefits for you? First of all, you put you put things in the hands of experts. So it's our award-winning interviewers. They put your loved ones at ease, like we talked about. They draw out the golden moments you never knew existed without the usual family awkwardness. And this is something we encounter as well. Is like sometimes, you know, that families can be awkward, right? And they can be weird. But if you get someone who is a professional and they're very comfortable in that space, it works really well. They have an experience they are sure to love. We haven't had one single person that hasn't enjoyed it. It's warm, it's a fun conversation, and it's the greatest hits of their lives. Like everyone loves talking about the greatest hits of their lives.
Yeah.
Like they don't know they will, but by the end they do.
Yeah.
And it's from the comfort of their own home. We bring the microphones, the camera, and the magic. You get a private family documentary for the ages, which honors the past, enriches the present, and gives everyone a sense of peace about the future. You think about those words, Suze?
And again, but, you know, don't just take our words for it. Lee Patton said, "Our parents have an amazing story and their memoir captured it beautifully in their own words. What started as a gift to our parents has become an incredible treasure for our family."
Yeah, and Lynn Bonington shared, "This was a fantastic experience. It opened up conversations that revealed stories none of us knew about my dad's life. The process was seamless." There's a whole bunch more testimonials on the website. You can hear from Lindell, who we mentioned, and there's also more explainers about the process if you need more. But now we're going to start dipping into the Q&A. I'm going to answer one that is keeping propped up, and then I'll turn to the chat. So the first one is, my dad's never been recorded before and is nervous about being on camera. Any tips to get past this? Yeah, this comes up, right? Like, it can be hard to convince your dad to share his life story with someone. We often find they do it because the kids are invested in it and they want to do what's right for the family. But yeah, there will be nerves. We always get our interviewer to reach out to them and make that sort of personal connection beforehand. And like I said, when we get there, it's soft skills, and we're normal, we're good people. Yeah, which really helps.
Yeah. And, you know, if there are things that they don't want to talk about, we're not going to push them.
No.
And also reassure them that it's not going to be an episode of Between Two Beers.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not going out on the main channel. It's only the family that's going to listen to it. And that I see Blair Aldershaw in the questions, wondering how you'll manage the distribution and storage of the digital media that comes from the Reflections packages. Very good question. So there's two ways. We send a hard copy, a USB with a link to the hard copy. And we also we'll send you the video file, and we'll send you a link to a private YouTube that only you can access, and it's the best way of sharing it with family and friends. A private link no one else can see, but you know, they are quite big files. So to share these big files around and send it through family can get a little bit difficult, especially with technological issues. So yeah, we offer to send you a private YouTube link, and we send you a hard copy as well. And the audio we'll send you digitally too. Question from Hayley Redpath. ABR always be recording.
That might be
are you always be recording? Do you end up hearing more great yarns once the recorder is off and the scones are out? Bloody good question, Hayley. Yes.
Yes, that just always naturally happens too, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there is kind of a natural end to it. And we say, you know, all right, that's the end of the recording. And oftentimes, like, all right, I'll tell you a quick story. I went up and did this 95-year-old in Warkworth, and this is one of the other questions, like, how old is too old? There is no age that is too old. Like, he was amazing. He went for 2 hours. He had more stamina than I did. And I pushed stop on the Roadcaster. And then for the next 20 minutes, he continued telling stories. And that was a lesson, like I was talking about, like evolving the process. Now I don't push. I pretend to push stop, but we keep recording. And again, like, they think they're off mic. So I will only include it if I say, actually, some of that stuff we talked about after we push record, are you okay if we include that in the package? If they say yes, then we'll add it in. If they say no, then we'll edit it out. But there is a sense of, after it's done, and often they'll even reflect on the reflections experience, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's really nice too. But yeah, and it sometimes the story has only just come into their head at that point so yeah, I like that idea that you do. That's cool.
Question is, my mum thinks her life isn't interesting and will have nothing to say. Are some better than others? This is a really interesting question too, and I was talking with Suze about it, and I think the best way, like my mum says this too, I'm going to do a reflections with my mum, but she says, I've got nothing important to say. The best way of framing this is by talking about their parents and saying, imagine if your mum or dad declined to do an interview about their life because they didn't think they'd have anything interesting to say. And then think about how interested you would be in listening to that recording now. How valuable a 2-hour recording with your mum or dad, if they've passed, like what that would mean to you.
Yeah.
And so everyone's got a story.
Yeah,
Like, everyone's got a story.
Everyone has a story to tell, and you don't have to have won the Victoria Cross or be a member of the New Zealand Order of Merit or, have your own TV show. None of that matters. Everybody has a rich history, a great story. Family is just, in virtually every interview that we do, family is number one, no matter what they've achieved. So, that's cool.
But you don't need to have done incredible things for this to be really powerful. It's like your mum or dad, their relationship with their mum or dad. We take them to places that they haven't talked about often, and it can get emotional at times in a really good way, because we listen, right? We listen, we're genuinely listening, we're there for it, we've got follow-up questions. It creates a really special and intimate space.
And the really important thing I think that you should stress too is that this isn't just for them or for you, it's for your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, their children. It just carries on. And just to even have that slice of history there, that you learn so much about during the war, and when they were air raid shelters at the school where they had to practice, and stuff like that. That never occurred to me that would happen, and it never happened in our lifetime. No. But that stuff is lost if it doesn't carry on.
We won't keep you too much longer because we do have a very special offer. But I've got one more question from Hayley there. Do you shoo everyone else out of the room, or do family sit there and listen in?
That's a really good question.
Yeah. So again, it's totally bespoke to what the family wants. I have done both, and I think Suze has done both, with no one there and with someone there. It's totally about what makes the guest comfortable. Yeah. My recommendation is that there's no one else there. If they're okay with it, I would get everyone out of the room, because often you want them to talk about that person that would be in the room without them there. And that just quickly on what I think is some of the most rewarding part of the process is we always leave some space at the end for the guest to reflect on their kids. And we say, I'm just going to give you a few minutes here just to talk about your son or your daughter and whatever you want to say about them. And after we've sort of unpacked their life story and we've sort of been on that journey together, that can be an incredibly powerful piece. And when you're wanting this captured, like, that is the part that you're probably going to listen to over and over again.
Yeah, that question of what would you like to say to your children now? That's always has amazing reactions as well.
So hopefully that answers some of your questions or all of them. We are out of time, so we said we'd keep it to 30 minutes. But if you've got any more questions, send them to hello@reflections.life and we'll get back to you this evening. There's a Q&A on the sites for some more frequently asked questions in case we didn't get to them. You can see Lindell's case study that we spoke about and pricing there. And here is the big offer. So we have a special offer for the attendees tonight. If you book a Reflections video interview before 10 a.m. on Sunday, May the 11th, which is what day, Suze?
Mother's Day.
Mother's Day, well done. The first 3 of you will receive a free upgrade to include a short highlight reel valued at $1,000. That's a good deal.
great,
Yeah,
really
the
good.
highlight reel is perfect for sharing and remembering, like Lindell said. It can be, if it's about a business, it could be the highlights of how they built the business. If it's an older guest, it might be used at a funeral. It's bespoke for the family. It's super valuable. First 3 that book will get the free highlights reel. So you're able to book now directly through our website, but if you'd prefer, we invite you to book a 15-minute discovery call with Kerry Quinn from our team. We'll find a link to book a call in the comments, and you can do it through the website or through the comments. So book a call if you want to chat with Kerry, if you've got any more questions, or you can just sign up straight from the website now.
Is it okay if I go on and book one for my mum now?
Yeah, I'll give you the deal.
No, it's okay. I'll leave that for you guys. Okay, but huge thanks for joining us tonight on our very first webinar. And we firmly believe that the past should be a gift, not a mystery. Far too many Kiwis have been silently slipping away. We'd love to help you capture the magical stories of your whānau so they can live on forever.
Just finally from me, I am super passionate about this space. I feel like it's the best use of my skills and Suze's skills that we've built out on decades of being a journalist and storytelling. It's the most fulfilling work that I do, and we're just super excited about having this business launched and what it can turn into. So thank you for being part of this first webinar. We're really excited about where this is going, and hope to have you on the journey.
Yeah, great. Ka kite anō.